before we move on to the next topic, there is something which we need to understand regarding the various assumptions which are mentioned in the NCERT, and these assumptions are important before we perform all the calculations to understand the amount of ATPs or kilocalories of energy released by respiration, whether aerobic or anaerobic. So the respiratory balance sheet is always made with the help of some assumptions. So it is possible to make calculations of the net gain of ATP from every glucose molecule oxidized, but in reality this can remain only a theoretical exercise. So to understand this concept we need 4 assumptions. So those 4 assumptions are that when we start calculating, you must have understood that I was talking about the glucose entering into glycolysis, followed by a product formed as pyruvic acid, which enters into the mitochondria. So these things are all assumptions. So first thing is there is a sequential orderly pathway functioning with one substrate forming the next, and with the glycolysis, TCA cycle and then ETS pathway, they all following one after another. This sentence means that glucose enters into the picture, it undergoes glycolysis in the cytosol or cytoplasm, and then the product, which is the pyruvic acid, enters into the mitochondria. First it will undergo oxidative decarboxylation, followed by TCA cycle, followed by ETS cycle. So we believe all these sequence should always be followed should be always following one after another without any alteration. Second assumption is NADH, which is synthesized in glycolysis, is transported into mitochondria. Now you must be remembering in the last class when we did the calculation, I told you that ATP formed from glycolysis and then NADH2 formed from glycolysis. So the next assumption is this NADH2 does not go anywhere else into any other metabolic reaction, but it enters into the mitochondria and undergoes oxidative phosphorylation. So the next assumption is none of the intermediates in the pathway are utilized to synthesize any other compound. Now when we pay attention to the Krebs cycle, we need to understand something here, that for example acetyl coenzyme A, whenever human body is running short of fats, then it is easily possible for the human body to use this acetyl coenzyme A to synthesize fats. In the same manner we know pyruvic acid. Now pyruvic acid is the product of glycolysis, and it is very much important for the human body that if there is shortage of proteins in the human body, then human body can start using this pyruvic acid for forming amino acids so that proteins can be formed. That means products or intermediate products of the respiratory pathway can easily be taken out from respiration. That means can be taken out from catabolic pathway, and they may enter into the anabolic pathway, that means body build-up pathway. We'll be talking about this in today's class itself. So this is the next assumption for making calculation. The assumption is none of the intermediates, products or byproducts in these pathways are utilized to synthesize any other compound. That means they all will go strategically from one pathway to the next pathway straight away. That means they will continue to remain in the catabolic pathway. Then the next assumption is one glucose is being respired. Now we all know we can easily burn organic acids also, we can easily burn other type of sugars also, even fats can be burned, proteins can be burned. So the next main assumption is that when we do these calculation, the main assumption is we are only talking about glucose which is respired, and no other alternative substrates are entering into the pathway at any level of intermediary states. So these are the 4 assumptions which we have to keep in mind before we start calculating the number of ATPs formed, because imagine for a second if the pyruvic acid formed in this concept does not enter into the TCA cycle, then obviously number of ATP formed would be very much less. We all know it's just 2 ATPs. And then we also know that glycolysis yields NADH2. If this NADH2 does not enter into mitochondria, then definitely there will be less number of ATPs getting formed. And if any of the products of the respiratory pathway, they go into any other mechanism of anabolic pathways, then obviously the glycolysis, that means the aerobic respiration will not be complete. And if it is not complete, then definitely energy prepared will never be 38 or 36 ATP, or will not be 686 kilocalories. It will be very much less compared. And then we all know that it's not just always glucose. We are consuming so many type of nutrients, and when we consume carbohydrates, fats, etc., definitely we don't just consume glucose. So our body can easily burn fats also. So when we do these calculations, these points have to be kept in mind. And remember that this kind of assumptions are not really valid in the living system. All pathways work simultaneously and do not take place one after another. So it is very much understandable that we are a multicellular organism. So it is never possible for a pathway to go single-handed. It is always moving in every direction. So products go from one pathway to other pathway. So there is a network of reactions going on in body. There is not just one reaction going on in body. That's why it is always possible for substrate to enter into the pathways, and then it is very much easy for these substrates to be withdrawn from it as and when they are necessary. ATP is utilized as well, and when needed, enzymatic rates are controlled by the multiple means. Yet it is useful to do this exercise to appreciate the beauty and efficiency of the living system in extraction of the storing energy. So we learned yesterday that how 36 ATPs are calculated.